R.I.P.
Here I am with a spoopy opening. Because basically, as usual, we haven't planned anything. And nothing. Not a damn thing. And all I've been listening to for the past 2 weeks has been what's it called? Fair Game, the Leah Remini Scientology podcast. I thought we'd do a bit of Scientology.
Yeah. I remember watching the Louis Theroux one. I think it's called Going Clear.
I haven't watched that or the panorama. I need to watch the panorama where John Sweeney goes off his head.
Oh, yeah, mate. They proper wound John Sweeney up. You are stalking me! Stop following me! And they're like, look at this lunatic.
I don't know whether you know, but Leah Remini has Mike Rinder on as her co-host.
Yeah.
And John Sweeney was on a recent one. And
head?
What's that? He was the... I think he was head of OSA, wasn't he? The Office of Special Affairs. Yeah,
that's the one.
Which I believe used to be the Guardian's office, did it? I think it was the Guardian's office before that. They're basically... he was in charge of basically just attacking people and bullshit, weren't he?
Yeah, he was their disinformation agent, wasn't he?
Yeah. But because Mike Rinder was on the panorama, wasn't he? And it was it? Ah, shit. Was it Tommy something he was shouting at, weren't it?
Yeah, it was. I can't think what his name is, but yeah, it was Tommy he was shouting at.
Yeah.
I've not done anything, Tommy.
Didn't he say nuts. You were not here at the start of the conversation or something? Yeah. Didn't he? That's what he shouted out, didn't he?
Yeah,
you were not here. Right, so I think I'll probably go into Hubbard on a separate one because Hubbard is just an absolute fucking madman.
Yeah, that's 2 hours in itself.
Yeah, Lafayette Ronald Hubbard. That's what the L stands for, Lafayette.
The most prolific fiction writer in known history.
Apparently it was a bet with another science fiction writer, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. But, that could just be speculation. You never sort of know whether it was because he'd written all these books and just gone completely insane, which, I could put a $5 on.
Oh, fucking! It's war record. Didn't he fire off everything that? Harlan Ellison was the guy you had a bet with, I think. So I wonder if there's any stats online about what, because apparently it's they own loads and loads of. They're down to about 25,000 followers at the moment, aren't they? But I don't know what they're. I think I should be able to, I'll have a look in a bit anyway.
It seems more people are walking away from the church as the years go by than they're collecting members.
But it doesn't even matter though, because they've got so much fucking money. I think they could all leave and it wouldn't really matter. But
no, probably not. I don't think anyone knows how much they have.
Yeah, so I think I'll start with Dianetics because that's really where you need to start with Scientology, if you're not starting with
yeah. Dianetics is the first place.
So it all started with Tom Cruise's Scientology's poster boy. Yeah, he's massive mates with little tiny David Miscavige. So little tiny Tom Cruise and little tiny David Miscavige are best buds, aren't they?
You reckon they're gay together?
Did you know Scientology is hooked up with the Nation of Islam?
I didn't know that.
As of 2010, the Nation of Islam now does Scientology.
Huh? As if I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a whole episode on it. I mean, if you want to learn about this stuff, I'd recommend anything by Leah Remini, who's an ex-Scientologist, because she also has Mike Rinder, who's been there, fucking done it, because he's been in the, I think, not quite since birth, but for a very, very long time. He was in the Sea Org, wasn't he? So he was the Sea Org is the LARPy bit, isn't it? I love the Sea Org.
Yeah,
where you sign your billion-year contract.
billion-year contract. You're not allowed to have a family or something while you're
something
in the
like
field.
That. I think Hobbit said he's been busy for the past couple of days, and he's been to the dentist today, so he's been gassed.
Yeah, Hobbit's been gassed, effing chat.
So we start with Dianetics. So Dianetics was originally it was basically just a self-help book, wasn't it? Help yourself.
Yeah.
So Dianetics divides the mind into three parts: the conscious analytical mind, the subconscious reactive mind, and the somatic mind. So somatic is so it's like somatic is your unconscious, is your body working automatically then, isn't it, I assume?
Okay.
So the goal of Dianetics is to erase the content of the reactive mind, which practitioners believe interferes with a person's ethics, awareness, happiness and sanity. Dianetics' procedure to achieve this erasure is something called auditing. In auditing, the Dianetic auditor asks a series of questions or commands which are intended to help a person locate and deal with painful past experiences.
Isn't that the part where they're just auditing, where they're getting all of your personal information to use it?
Well, that comes later. So you've got right at the start, you've just got Dianetics, which is just a book. So it took. So you start with Dianetics. This is the baby steps.
I've seen the book. I've never read it, but I've seen it.
I imagine it's like fantastic bullshit, isn't it?
Yeah, I bet it's expensive. I've never seen the price, but I bet it's expensive.
So practitioners of Dianetics believe the basic principle of existence is to survive, and that the basic personality of humans is sincere, intelligent and good. The drive for goodness and survival is distorted and inhibited by aberrations. So you got to remember, this is Dianetics, so this is the basics. This is before you start getting into your operating thetans and shit like this. So Hubbard proposed this model, then developed Dianetics with the claim it could eradicate these aberrations. So it all sounds pretty sensible so far, clear out all the bullshit in your life, you're going to be a better person, all this kind of shit. So it all seems pretty good so far, doesn't it?
Yeah, so far it seems innocent and like they're genuinely trying to help you.
It's like some Tony Robbins shit, isn't it? So that's what Dianetics was, right? Basically, wasn't it? It was just some fucking Tony Robbins shit, weren't it?
Yeah, some Tony Robbins shit, and then it just sort of took off, didn't it?
Yeah. So when Hubbard formulated Dianetics, he described it as a mix of Western technology and Oriental philosophy. Hubbard claimed that, because I bet they were eating this shit up with a spoon in the 50s, weren't they? Hubbard claimed that Dianetics could increase intelligence, eliminate unwanted emotions, and alleviate a wide range of illnesses he believed to be psychosomatic. Well, this so far, it all sounds fairly kind of sensible, a little bit of bullshit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So among the conditions purportedly treated were arthritis, allergies, asthma, some coronary difficulties, eye trouble, ulcers, migraine headaches, sexual deviation, which for Hubbard included homosexuality. You might find that actually Hubbard was pretty based. Because what did he say? What was it they were saying on one of the podcasts today? It was he was talking about Bantus, and he said Bantus can't help it that they just have to thieve. Oh dear. Oh shit! I can't remember the comment. The comment about homosexuality. It was something like they should be dispatched quietly and quickly, or something like that. He's fucking Hubbard's totally based.
To be fair, I agree with Hubbard on that one.
Hubbard initially described Dianetics as a branch of psychology. John Atack, who is I believe he's an SP now, isn't he, John Atack? I don't know. I'm not. Yeah, he's a former Scientologist. He wrote a book that's called A Piece of Blue Sky, which gets mentioned quite a lot. Piece of Blue Sky was I think it was like the first major anti It's one of the major. It is one of the major anti-Scientology books. So you've got that, and you've got Going Clear is the other one.
Yeah.
So John Atack writes that the original Dianetic techniques can be derived almost entirely from Sigmund Freud's lectures. Hubbard created the Freudian Foundation of America and offered graduate auditor certificates, which included that of Freudian psychoanalyst. Hubbard was influenced in creating Dianetics by many psychologists, such as William Sargent's work on abreaction therapy, which is a psychoanalytical term for reliving an experience to purge it of its emotional excesses. So this is the auditing then, isn't it? Carl Jung, Roy Grinker and John Spiegel's writing on hypnosis and hypnoanalysis. Nandor Fodor. Does anyone know who Nandor Fodor is?
That sounds like a fake name.
No, he's actually yeah, because I spoke about him. I can't remember why. He's a British-American parapsychologist. It might have been that really awful episode I did before on L. Ron Hubbard in England. Otto Rank. I don't know who he is. One of Sigmund Freud's colleagues. Alfred Korzybinski's. Fucking hell, there's some dodgy names in here, aren't there? And Alfred Korzybski's General Semantics was also cited by Hubbard as an influence. Hubbard differentiated Dianetics from Scientology, saying that Dianetics was a mental therapy. It was a mental therapy science, and Scientology was a religion. Dianetics predates Hubbard's classification of Scientology as an applied religious philosophy. Early in 1951, he expanded his writings to include teachings related to the soul or the thetan. So apparently the reason he dropped Dianetics was that he owed money. I think he owed the guy that he'd sold Dianetics' name to. So and then that guy sued him and stopped him from using the word Dianetics.
Okay. So he sold the name Dianetics or Dialectics, and someone else took it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that. Or one of the people that backed him on his original book. He owed money to someone, and basically they made sure that he couldn't do it again.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to tell you about that in a sec. So according to Hubbard,
Freud's name's in there, so you know straight away there's some bad shit's about to happen.
Yeah. So according to Hubbard, when he was sedated for a dental operation in 1938, he had a near-death experience, which inspired him to write the manuscript Excalibur, which was never published. Oh fuck! I bet that'd be awesome, wouldn't it? This work would eventually become the basis for Dianetics, and later on also Scientology. The first publication on Dianetics was Dianetics: The Evolution of a Science, an article by Hubbard in Astounding Science Fiction, cover date May 1950. This was followed by
stuff up back then, you know. You can see why he sort of tied aliens in with it as well, because it's the 50s, and it was, you know, that was common hot topic, wasn't it? It was
he was also kind of some sort. He was a bit of a. He was a bit of an author, wasn't he? Because he'd done science fiction, he'd done cowboy stories. So he was an author.
Did he study psychology at all?
I don't think he did officially, but I think he must have done. He must have done some sort of research, because the way he set Scientology up, he wouldn't be able to set it up without. He's not. Although he is a spastic, he's not a total spastic, is he?
He's a high IQ spastic.
Yeah. He's a high functioning spastic.
Yeah, high functioning autist, some might say.
Yeah.
No, it's just interesting to think if there's the 50s, that was sort of like the 50s was sort of when they were really making moves with psychological science.
This is shortly before the hippies came in as well, isn't it? So, you know, this is kind of like this is probably leading up to the 60s and all that kind of stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, the culture and LSD, man.
Yeah, like Jim Cook says, most of his fiction writing was roundly panned by critics because he was a shit author.
He was a shit author. That's why he was so prolific, because he just wrote fucking loads of shit books.
It's probably on the Johans level of fucking being an author. they just fucking spank it out, don't they? It don't matter the quality. They think it's good, and that's all that matters to them.
Well, it's like a fighter padding out their record, isn't it?
Yeah.
Padding out the record with a bunch of tomato cans.
So this was followed by the book Dianetics, The Modern Science of Mental Health, published in May 1950. In these works, Hubbard claimed that the source of all psychological pain, and therefore the cause of mental and physical health problems, was a form of memory known as engrams. So engrams this is going to be full of fucking jargon, isn't it? So, yeah. An engram, as according to Scientology, is a detailed mental image or memory of a traumatic event from the past that occurred when an individual was partially or fully conscious. So,
yeah, that's sort of it's heavily sort of buying into the sort of woo-woo of that era. Like, yeah. It's very woo-woo, sort of spiritualism and sort of holistic healing and stuff. And they were desperate to sort of think that there was more to life than this boring ass world.
The self-help book is the home of the fucking bullshit artist, though, isn't it? So basically, what he's done isn't there like there's like a Chinese thing where they think that whatever's wrong with you physically is probably something mentally that you need to sort out.
Yeah, it was like over here. When we had the Black Plague, they put it down to a bad miasma, a bad aura that was around. They didn't put anything down to cleanliness and sewage and.
So where were we? So engrams, according to Hubbard, individuals could reach a state he named clear, which a person was freed of these engrams. This would be done by talking with an auditor. So as we'll find out later, you know, this is all one great big fucking Ponzi scheme, isn't it? Clear turns out to be like, it's like there's about 8. Is it OT 8 now? I think they're up to. So there's 8 levels that you have to get to above clear if you want to get to the top.
Yeah, that's why the documentary by Louis Theroux is called Going Clear.
Yeah,
I think it was Louis Theroux that made that documentary.
Going Clear. Someone else made Going Clear. It's based on a book called Going Clear. Evening, Frith. Frith's in the chat.
Hey, Frith.
So the publication of Dianetics, Modern Science of Mental Health, brought in a flood of revenue, which Hubbard used to establish Dianetics foundations in six major American cities. So he's obviously on to. He knew what the grift was, didn't he?
Yeah, he knew. See, that was the thing, though, is that because of the time, that sort of grift was easily done because they didn't have the internet. They didn't have the ability to sort of fact check all of this stuff. They just believed it. Same with the spiritualism. They didn't have the ability to look it up on the internet, check if what they were saying was factual.
What I mean by the grift is that Hubbard had obviously figured out at this stage having a book's not enough. You sell the book, people get bored of it, people stop reading it. So what he's realised, if you do the book and then you establish something around the book that carries on, then you can make money off the back of the book, then, can't you?
Yeah, you always have a repetitive income, whereas the book isn't really repetitive income unless you can keep busting out books like that sell at that level.
Yeah, exactly. And people aren't going to be following the, you know, they ain't going to let you get away with doing a revision of Dianetics every year. They're going to stop buying it, aren't they?
Yeah.
So I think I actually skipped a bit.
Oh dear.
According to Hubbard, I fucking skipped a load. No, I haven't. So anyway, I'll have to go back a bit. So engrams are clear, blah blah. While not accepted by the media and scientific establishment in the first 2 years of its publication, over 1,000 copies of the book were sold. Over 100,000 copies of the book were sold. Many enthusiasts emerged to form groups to study and practice Dianetics. The atmosphere from which Dianetics was written about in this period was one of excited experimentation. Sociologist Roy Wallace writes that Hubbard's work was regarded as an initial exploration for further development. Hubbard wrote an additional 6 books in 1951, drawing attention of a significant fan base. So that's the bit that I've skipped out. So this is how he then went on to do. So he did his book. He realised that he had some pretty excited fans. So then he endless revisions works for EA Games, says Jim Cook.
To be fair, Jim Cook has got a point there.
Yeah. So where was I? So he's he's a man that's onto the grift, isn't he? He wants to get the most money for the least amount of work, doesn't he? But then again, he's doing a lot of work. He's setting up these things in 6 American cities. Unless he's getting his faithful helpers to do it. It doesn't say here about that.
Possibly getting his helpers to do it, but then you got to think about the time it is. It was a lot easier to just do all of this stuff back then than it is now.
Yeah.
You hand over a bunch of money, they hand over the keys, no questions get asked. These days, you got duties, solicitors have got to look at it. You've got to read the anti-money laundering scheme to prove that your money's actually yours and legit. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, all that crap. Yeah, it was a bit easier then doing it. You'd just do it for cash, wouldn't you? And the bloke could turn a blind eye or something.
Whereas these days, that'd be a lot harder to set up, like across the country like that. You'd have lots of paperwork, lots of money, lots of people getting paid lots of money.
Yeah. So Dianetics shared the New York Times bestseller list with other self-help writings, including Norman Vincent Peale's The True Art of Happiness and Henry Overstreet's The Mature Mind. Scholar Hugh B. Urban attributed the initial success of Dianetics to Hubbard's entrepreneurial skills. Well, you've got to give him this. He is a bit of he's a showman, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, you always sort of see him with that bloody sailor's hat on, don't you?
Yeah. I am like L. Ronald Hubbard. I love the way he fucking talks. He talks like a right idiot, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Posthumously, Publishers Weekly awarded Hubbard a plaque to acknowledge Dianetics appearing on its bestseller list for 100 weeks consecutively. 2 of the strongest initial supporters of Dianetics in the 1950s were John W. Campbell, editor of Astounding Science Fiction. I think he's the guy that wrote Who Goes There, which the thing's based on.
Say his name again.
John W. Campbell. I've got a copy of it somewhere.
It is.
He's the guy that wrote that. Yeah. So John W. Campbell, editor of Astounding Science Fiction, and Joseph Augustus Winter, a writer and medical physician. Campbell published some of Hubbard's short stories, and Winter hoped that his colleagues would likewise be attracted to Hubbard's Dianetic system. I can imagine that Hubbard's main audience was probably middle class people or housewives. I imagine it's those kind of people that get dragged into this shit.
Yeah, of course it is. Middle class housewives and spinsters.
Yeah.
Always the old people with their retirement funds.
So here we Per Wallace, it was Dianetics' popularity as a lay psychotherapy that contributed to the Foundation's downfall. It was the craze of 1950 to 51, but the fad was dead by 1952. Most people read the book, tried it out, then put it down. Remaining practitioners had no ties to the Foundation and resisted its control. Because there were no trained Dianetics professionals, factions formed. The followers challenged Hubbard's movement and his authority. Wallace suggests Hubbard learned an implicit lesson from this experience. He would not make the same mistake when creating Scientology. Hubbard left the Foundation, which shut down. Creditors began to demand settlement of its outstanding debts. Don Purcell, Purcell, an oil millionaire dianetist from Wichita, Kansas, offered a brief respite from its bankruptcy, but the Wichita Foundation's finances soon failed again in 1952 when Hubbard left for Phoenix with all his Dianetics materials to avoid the court bailiff sent by Purcell, who had purchased from Hubbard for the copyrights to Dianetics in an effort to keep Hubbard from bankruptcy again. So there you go, that's why.
He wasn't very good at keeping his money, was he?
Well, I think it was probably. It sounds to me like he just pulled out. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to keep control of this. So I'm just going to pull out. Is how it looks to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if he just refused to pay all the money and just hid his money.
Yeah.
I'm bankrupt, guys. Bankrupt.
Yeah. Oh no. It's bankrupt. Oh, it's all dead. In 1954, Hubbard defined Scientology as a religion focused on the spirit, differentiating it for copyright reasons from Dianetics. I added for copyright reasons, but I think that's probably why. It's significantly different from Dianetics, honestly, lawyers, and subsequently Dianetics. Yeah, and subsequently Dianetics auditing therapy, which he defined as a counselling-based science that addressed the physical being. When Hubbard morphed Dianetics therapy into the religion of Scientology, Jesper Agard Peterson of Oxford University surmises that it could have been for the benefits from establishing it as a religion as much as it could have been from the result of Hubbard's discovery of past life experiences and his exploration of the thetan. The reason being to avoid copyright infringement issues with the use of the name Dianetics held by Purcell. Oh, really? Nobody figured that one, did they? Purcell later donated the copyright ownership back to Hubbard as charitable debt relief. Fuck.
Tax breaks ahoy.
He's a fucking jammy bastard, isn't he? With a temporary sale of assets resulting from HDRF's bankruptcy. What's H? Oh, the Hubbard something Dianetics something. I assume. Hubbard no longer owned the rights to the name Dianetics. Scientologists refer to the book Dianetics: The Modern Sign of Mental Health as Book One. In 1952, Hubbard published a new set of teachings as Scientology, a religious philosophy.
Oh, here we go. It's the startings of EA games.
Is it? Yeah. This is how EA started.
Yeah, this is how it goes. There'll be a remake soon.
Where was I? So, designed where was I? So, I've lost me. 1963 and again in 1960. No, that's not it. Where the goal of Dianetics is to rid the individual of the reactive mind engrams. The stated goal of Scientology is to rehabilitate the individual's spiritual nature so that adherents may reach their full potential. Yeah, because they claim that you can up to and including curing cancer, don't they? If you do Scientology.
Pretty much everything can be cured by Scientology, and it's like
superpowers. Just short of superpowers, isn't it?
Yeah. You want to be Superman? Join Scientology.
Yeah. In 1963 and again in 1969, Hubbard recognised that the material in Dianetics, the auditing commands, the original Foley Matheson invented e-meter use, the naming the package Standard Dianetics in a 1969 bulletin. This bulletin combines HCOB 27th of April 1969 R3R restated with those parts of HCOB 24th of June 1963 Routine 3R used in the new Standard Dianetic course and its application. This gives the complete steps of Routine 3R revised. In 1978, Hubbard released a New Era Dianetics, a revised version supposed to produce better results in a shorter period of time. This course consists of 11 rundowns. So a rundown, for those that don't know, like I say, it's going to be jargon heavy, Scientology and Dianetics, a rundown is a series of steps which are auditing actions and processes designed to handle a specific aspect of a case and which have a known end phenomena. Jim Cook sounds catchy and legit with all this jargon.
Yeah.
And the other benefit is that Dianetic, and so the course consists of 11 rundown and requires a specifically trained auditor. Trademark.
Trademark. Yeah, he certainly weren't making that mistake again, was he?
Yeah, no way. In the Church of Scientology, OTs, fucking operating thetans, I think that is it. Yay!
Yeah.
Operating thetan is a spiritual state above clear, which before was the end, but now it's not the end.
Oh, Jim Cook said, sounds more plausible than our NRX, though, let's be honest.
So, OTs study several levels of new era Dianetics for OTs before reaching the highest level, which, like I say, used to be clear, but now it's clear. So now you've got like OT 8, which is like 8 levels above clear, which you have now.
Clear plus 8.
Oh dear.
Is it just in an attempt to keep people on board and just keep the money rolling in, is it?
Yeah, well, the thing that really, which really should give everyone alarm bells is you're trying to stop your reactive mind, which is your mind that reacts to things. You know,
yeah.
That's the real bit that you should be worrying about.
Yeah. It was Tommy Davis.
Davis, that's all.
Yeah. Oh,
you
Davis
were not here.
It says he was head of external affairs and the chief spokesperson for the church.
Who's
I wonder
that,
if
Mike
he's
Rinder?
not in Scientology. No, Tommy Davis.
I think Tommy Davis has probably left. He probably blew, didn't he?
Yeah, probably.
In the book Dianetics, The Modern Science of Mental Health, Hubbard describes techniques that he suggests can rid individuals of fears and psychosomatic illnesses. The basic idea in Dianetics is that mind consists of two parts, the analytical mind and the reactive mind. The reactive mind, the mind which operates when a person is physically unconscious, acts as a record of shock, trauma, pain and otherwise harmful memories. Experiences such as these stored in the reactive mind are dubbed engrams. Dianetics is proposed as a method to erase these engrams in the reactive mind to achieve a state of clear. So this is how you go clear. You have to remove any trauma that you've ever had from your mind, which is, that's dead easy, isn't it? Almost barely an inconvenience.
You just got to tell the auditor everything that's on your mind.
Hubbard described Dianetics as an organised science of thought built on definite axioms, statements of natural laws and the order of those physical sciences. In April 1950, before the public release of Dianetics, he wrote, to date, over 200 patients have been treated. Of those 200 cures have been obtained. That's the one thing. That's the thing about L. Ron. He's not a shrinking violet, is he? He's always done everything to the full, hasn't he?
Yeah. It looks like Tom Davis has left Scientology.
Yeah.
Or he was kicked out.
I know Mike Rinder does, don't he? Mike Rinder blew what they call blue, don't they? He just fucked off. They wait for their gap, don't they?
Yeah.
Have you seen the one? I haven't seen it yet, but apparently there's some video of Mike Rinder's missus just fucking screaming at him, so like some absolutely total mental bitch.
Yeah, I have seen that.
Have you seen that one?
What's the dad? The dad who's not in it anymore. The Miscavige.
Miscavige's dad. Did you hear that one about when Miscavige's dad was having Miscavige was having his dad followed. His dad, they suspected he'd had a heart attack, and the PI said, "Shall I go and save him?" And Miscavige said no. Did you know about that one?
No. Yeah, I knew about that one. I saw Miscavige's dad on the Joe Rogan podcast. Same with Leah Remini. Leah Remini was on Rogan's podcast as well.
Good. Has Mike Rinder been on there yet?
That's Ron Miscavige is the dad, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure actually. I'll have a look.
I quite like Mike Rinder. He's a good guy. He's like an Aussie, so he's a bit of a banterer, isn't he? Likes a bit of banter.
You reckon he's related to Judge Rinder?
Probably. You never know. Hubbard described Dianetics. What are you saying?
No, but he's been on I think he's been on a load of podcasts. The number one threat to Scientology with Mike Rinder, Concrete podcast number 68.
Yeah, he does Fair Game with Leah Remini as well, and he also did what was the TV show called? It was The Aftermath with Leah Remini as well.
Yeah.
He was also on Going Clear, wasn't he?
Yes.
So in Dianetics, the unconscious or reactive mind is described as a collection of mental image pictures which contain the recorded experience of past moments of unconsciousness, including all sensory perceptions and feelings involved, ranging from prenatal experiences, infancy and childhood, to even the traumatic feelings associated with the events from past lives and extraterrestrial cultures. The type of mental image picture created during a period of unconsciousness involves the exact recording of a painful experience. Hubbard called this phenomenon an engram and described it as a complete recording of the moment of unconsciousness containing physical pain or painful emotion and all perceptions. So Leah Remini described it as this: you're on the auditing. For anybody that doesn't know what auditing is, you're stood there, there's a couple of, do they call them cans? I think they call them cans. So basically, like, imagine there's something in front of you. It's chrome metal, and it's probably about the same size as a deodorant can. So there's two of those. You're sat there. You've got your hands on the cans, and they basically record a galvanic skin response. So what will happen is the auditor will say, "Have you ever killed a dog?" So you'll say no. It'll indicate that you're not clear. So then they just go on at you and go on at you and go on at you until you make up a story about the time you killed a dog. That then gets written, filed, and kept in case you embarrass the church.
Yeah. Kind of like blackmail.
Not at all like blackmail. This is religion. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm sorry, Hemi. I'm sorry. I'll be less judgmental of religion in the
future. Hubbard proposed that the painful physical or emotional traumas called aberrations, which are deviations from rational thinking in the mind, which produce lasting adverse and physical emotional threat effects similar to conversion disorders. So conversion, fuck me, there's some jargon in this episode.
That's how they do it, Hemi. They get you all lost in the jargon, and there's too much jargon to sit there and tear it all apart. So you join.
So a conversion disorder is a functional neurologic symptom disorder. So it's when people go, so they present with neurological symptoms such as numbness and blindness, paralysis, or fits, and I think they're like psycho problems rather than actual physical problems.
Yeah, like psychosomatic instead of actual physical problems. Which, you know, is proven in science. People after wars have like gone blind and gone deaf and gone mute, and it's all psychosomatic. It's all in their head.
When the analytical conscious mind shut down during these moments, events and perceptions of this period were stored as engrams in the unconscious or reactive mind. In Hubbard's earliest publications on the subject, engrams were variously referred to as norns, N-O-R-N-S, norns, impediments, and coma gnomes. Before engram was adapted Coma gnomes.
What? You think you just breeze over coma gnomes and I'm not going to ask?
That's spelled C-O-M-A as in regular coma, and then gnomes as in N-O-M-E-S, not gnomes.
Okay, so it's not a god gnome in a coma.
Yeah, coma gnomes. Yeah, that'd be great. Before Engram, can you imagine people cracking up while they're in there auditing? You got any coma gnomes? Engram was adapted from its existing usage at the suggestion of Joseph Augustus Winter, MD. Some commentators noted Dianetics' blend of science fiction and occult orientations at the time. When we do the L. Ron Hubbard episode, I do want to talk about the occult orientation, because apparently he brought in. Was it the Moonchild, or was it another one? I can't remember, but he brought into some.
Oh yeah,
demon,
there's a lot of occult sort of symbolism around Scientology.
Yeah. Hubbard does that. Hubbard claimed these engrams are the cause of almost all. It's getting boring now. I'm going to skip a bit. So basically, you've got engrams. Hubbard similarly claimed that your leukemia is traceable to an engram containing the phrase "It turns my blood to water." What?
Okay.
So. While it's sometimes claimed that the Church of Scientology no longer stands by Hubbard claims that Dianetics can treat physical conditions, it still publishes them. But also, isn't the thing about Church of Scientology, if Hubbard didn't write it, it doesn't happen, because apparently it even goes down to how you clean a window. Hubbard's written down. It's like the fucking Hadiths or something, isn't it? I think he was very. He very much influenced by Islam and Judaism, wasn't he?
Yeah, there's a lot of Jews inside Scientology there, Hemi.
Yeah, there are quite a few as well.
Miss Cabbage, Remini.
Remini, she's Italian, isn't she?
I think she's Italian with Jewish ancestry. Same with Mike Rinder. Rinder's a Jewish name.
So anyway, what's that? So what else? So leukemia. So they say that but what the Church of Scientology says, as you'll find out if you look into it too much, what the Church of Scientology says and what the Church of Scientology does are two entirely different things.
No, they're not mutually exclusive at all.
So up at this one then. When knee injuries of the past are located and discharged, arthritis ceases. So basically, so what he's saying is arthritis is a past life knee injury. No other injury takes its place, and the person is finished with arthritis of the knee. The reactive mind can give a man arthritis, bursitis, asthma, allergies, sinusitis, coronary trouble, high blood pressure, and it is the only thing in the human being which can produce these effects. Discharge the content of the reactive mind and the arthritis vanishes, myopia gets better, heart illness decreases, asthma disappears, stomachs function properly, and the whole catalogue of ills goes away and stays away. It sounds good, doesn't it, guys?
Oh yeah, it sounds perfect. Let's join.
Yeah. So they also say in this article that some of the psychometric ideas in Dianetics, in particular the E-meter, can be traced to Carl Jung. I don't know a great deal about Jung. I assume that he used lying machines or something then, because it's the basic thing, isn't it? It's just like a galvanic skin response, isn't it?
Yeah, it's basically a lie detector.
Yeah. So The basic concepts, including conversion disorder, are derived from Sigmund Freud, who Hubbard credited as an inspiration and source. Freud had speculated 40 years previously that traumas with similar content joined together in chains embedded in the unconscious mind to cause irrational responses in the individual. Such a chain would be relieved by inducing the patient to remember the earliest trauma with an accompanying expression of emotion. They are correct to a degree, though, aren't they? Because you can have all sorts happen to you when you're under big stress, don't they?
Yeah. No Fun Zone said, God, I hate the 50s and the 60s. This BS would never have been possible in any other era.
Yeah.
True. You wouldn't get away with that shit in this day and age. They'd be like, nah.
Yeah, you wouldn't get away with Scientology now, would you?
No. It's no surprise there's no new religions just popping up out of nowhere.
So what else we got?
Unless you have the religion of Mark Collette, a religion.
Well, this is why I want to talk about cults. I want to talk about how they actually tick and what it's all about. Yeah. So, Dianetics. This is... So HCO Bulletin, the 11th of July 1973, RB. I dread to think what RB stands for. Injury and illness are predisposed by the spiritual state of the person. They're precipitated by the being himself as a manifestation of his current spiritual condition. They are prolonged by any failure to fully handle the spiritual factors associated with them. That's wonderful, that, isn't it? Wonderful. Oh, here we go. I found so what do you get when you become clear? The benefits of going clear, according to Hubbard, were dramatic. A clear would have no compulsions, repressions, psychoses or neuroses, and would enjoy a near perfect memory as well as a rise in IQ as much as 50 points. He also this reminds me of another movement where they tell you how clever you are. He also claimed that the atheist is activated by engrams as thoroughly as the zealot. He further explained that a widespread application of Dianetics would result in a world without insanity, without criminals, and without war. Yeah, because their basic thing is they want to make the whole world go clear, don't they? That's one of the aims.
Yeah, that's their utopian goal, is to make the entire world go clear.
Yeah.
It's not a cult, though, guys. It's not a cult.
So, the procedure of Dianetics therapy is known as auditing. It's a two-person activity. One person, the auditor, guides the other person, the pre-clear. The pre-clear's job is to look at the mind and talk to the auditor. The auditor acknowledges what the pre-clear says and controls the process so that the pre-clear may put his full attention on his work. So these are the steps. So step 1, the auditor assures the pre-clear that he will be fully aware of everything that happens during the session. 2, the pre-clear is instructed to close his eyes for the session, entering a state of Dianetic reverie, signified by a tremble of the lashes. During the session, the pre-clear remains in full possession of his will and retains full recall thereafter. So are they attempting to get...
Someone's crying in our chat, Hemi, because I was nasty to Mark Collette.
God.
Grow up, you sad bastard.
Yeah, Jesus. So what are they trying to get someone into some sort of, is it hypnagogic state? What is it? Like a lucid dreaming kind of state, which seems a bit weird. Because it says the pre-clear is instructed to close the eyes for the session, entering a state of Dianetic reverie, signified by a tremble of the lashes.
Yeah, it does seem like they get them into some sort of lucid state.
Yeah. So step 3, the auditor installs a canceller, an instruction intended to absolutely cancel any form of positive suggestion that could accidentally occur. This is done by saying, in the future, when I utter the word cancelled, everything I've said to you while you're in a therapy session will be cancelled, and I will have no force with you. Any suggestion I have made to you will be without force when I say the word cancelled. Do you understand? Yeah, this is a hypnotic state they're putting someone in, isn't it?
Yeah.
What? Are we getting to the bit where Tom Cruise fries up a bit of placenta with his breakfast?
What? Bloody Tom Cruise, crazy bastard.
Yeah. So that's the counsellor. So 4, the auditor then asks the pre-clear to locate an exact record of something that happened to the pre-clear in his past. Locate an incident that you feel you can comfortably face. 5, the pre-clear is invited by the auditor to go through the incident and say what is happening as you go along. 6A, the auditor instructs the pre-clear to recall as much as possible of the incident, going over it several times until the pre-clear is cheerful about it. 6B, when the pre-clear is cheerful about an incident, the auditor instructs the pre-clear to locate another incident. Let's find another incident that you feel you can comfortably face. The process outlined at steps 5 and 6A then repeats until the auditing session's time limit, usually 2 hours or so, is reached. Remember, at this point, you're probably paying $50 an hour or more for this bullshit.
And you're probably telling them your deepest, darkest secrets.
Yeah. 7. Then the pre-clear is instructed to return to the present time. 8. The auditor checks to make sure the pre-clear feels himself to be in present time, i.e. not still recording a past incident. 9. The auditor gives the pre-clear a canceller word. Very good, cancelled. 10. The auditor tells the pre-clear to feel alert and return to full awareness of his surroundings. Then I count from 5 to 1 and snap my fingers and you'll feel alert. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Snaps fingers. You're back in the room. Look into the eye, not around the eye.
Yeah, look into the eyes, not around the eyes. The eyes you're under.
Oh dear. So what's Damien to me? Tom Cruise claimed he would eat Katie Holmes' placenta. This is what Damien's just sent in the chat. The Michelin Impossible star 43 said, I'm going to eat the placenta. I thought that would be very good, very nutritious. I'm going to eat the cord of the placenta right there. It is the latest in a series of increasingly strange outbursts from Cruise in the run-up to the birth. Did you know as well that, I don't know if you noticed, but every time Tom has a new film out, he says he's going to be leaving Scientology. Apparently he does that. He does that for extra juice. People wanted to talk to him.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's all bollocks, isn't it? So, auditing sessions are supposedly kept confidential. A few transcripts of auditing sessions with confidential information removed have been published as demonstration examples. Some extracts can be found in J.A. Winter's book, Dianetics, A Doctor's Report. Other more comprehensive transcripts of auditing sessions carried out by Hubbard himself can be found in Volume 1 of the Research and Discovery series. Examples of public group processing sections can be found throughout the Congress's lecture series. According to Hubbard, auditing enables pre-clear to contact and release engrams stored in the reactive mind, relieving him of the physical and mental aberrations connected with them. The pre-clear is asked to inspect and familiarise himself with the exact details of his own experience. The auditor may not tell him anything about his case or evaluate any of the information the pre-clear finds.
See, with all of this jargon of going clear and auditing and stuff, what's basically happening is someone that you barely know is hypnotizing you into a trance and getting you to divulge your deepest, darkest secrets, which they're going to file away to use against you later.
Exactly. So, therapeutic claims. In 1950, amidst the success of Dianetics, Hubbard held a demonstration in Los Angeles Shrine Auditorium where he presented a young woman called Sonia Bianca, a pseudonym, to a large audience, including many reporters and photographers, as the world's first clear. Despite Hubbard's claims she had a full and perfect recall of every moment of her life, Bianca proved unable to answer questions from the audience, testing her memory and analytical abilities, including the question of the colour of Hubbard's tie. Hubbard explained Bianca's failure to display her promised powers of recall to the audience by saying she had used the word now in calling he had used the word now in calling her to the stage, and thus inadvertently frozen her in the present time, which locked her abilities. He's fucking based, isn't he? He's got an answer for everything.
Yeah, you got to admire his skills.
Oh god, yeah, he's a complete and utter bullshit artist. He's a top bullshit artist.
He knew the 5 Ds of dodgeball.
Yeah. Later in the 1950s, Hubbard would claim that several people had reached a state of clear. By the time he presented Bianca the world's first, these others, Hubbard said, had successfully cleared in the late 1940s while working incognito in Hollywood, posing as a swami. What the fuck? A swami is it's an honorific title given to a male, female, ascetic or Bharji has chosen the path of renunciation. It's Hinduist, anyway. In 1966, Hubbard declared to South African Scientologist monk John McMaster to be the first true clear.
Oh.
So that's what it was. She wasn't the first true clear. That's why she fucked up. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. She wasn't the prophet. She's a false idol.
So Hubbard claimed in an interview with the New York Times in November 1950 that he'd already submitted proof of claims made in the book to a number of scientists and associations. He added that the public as well as proper organisations were entitled to such proof, and that he was ready and willing to give such proof in detail. In January 1951, the Hubbard Dianetic Research Foundation of Elizabeth, New Jersey, published Dianetic Processing, a brief survey of research projects and preliminary results, a booklet proving the result... What's that?
Another book? Fucking hell.
Yeah, it's almost like he just does the books for money, isn't it? Results of psychometric tests conducted on 88 people. There's a few people in the chat that would enjoy that. Undergoing Dianetics therapy. It presents case histories and a number of X-ray plates to support claims that Dianetics had cured aberrations, including manic depression, asthma, arthritis, colitis, and overt homosexuality. And after Dianetic processing, test subjects experienced significantly increased scores on a standardised IQ test. The report subjects are not identified by name, but one of them is clearly Hubbard himself. Case 100A RL. Authors provide no qualifications, although they are described in Hubbard's book Science of Survival, where some of the results of the same study were reprinted as Psychotherapist.
Huh?
Critics of Dianetics are sceptical of his study, both because he did it, both because of the bias of the source and because the researchers appear to ascribe all physical benefits to Dianetics without considering possible outside factors. In other words, the report lacks any scientific controls. J.A. Winter, MD, originally an associate of Hubbard and an early adopter of Dianetics, had by the end of 1950 cut his ties with Hubbard and written an account of his personal experiences with Dianetics. He described Hubbard as an absolutic and an authoritarian. He criticised the Hubbard Dianetics Research Foundation for failing to undertake precise scientific research into the function of the mind. He also recommended that auditing be done by experts only, and that it was dangerous for laymen to audit each other. Hubbard writes, Again, Dianetics is not being released to a profession, for no profession could encompass it.
So he's basically just paying people to do it.
yeah, total fucking spastic, isn't he? Hubbard's original book on Dianetics attracted highly critical reviews from science, medical writers, and organisations. The American Psychological Association passed a resolution in 1950 calling attention to the fact that these claims are not supported by empirical evidence of the sort required for the establishment of scientific generalizations. Subsequently, Dianetics has achieved no acceptance as a scientific theory, and scientists cite Dianetics as an example of pseudoscience. Well, they're just not fucking based enough, are they?
No, not based enough. That's what it is.
They're just
like that. They're just like, guys, this is basically fucking pseudoscience.
yeah, the fucking opinion discarded. I wonder why L. Ron Hubbard started a war on psychologists.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Does anybody have any idea why he started a war on psychologists?
Couldn't tell you, Hemi.
I'm totally baffled. I'm totally baffled.
Yeah,
I've got no idea.
Yeah, it's not that the whole of the collective science turned around and were like, "Nah, fuck off, mate."
Objective experimental verification of Hubbard's physiological and psychological doctrines is lacking. To date, no regular scientific agency has established the validity of his theories of a prenatal perception of engrams or cellular memory or Dianetic reverie or the effects of Scientology auditing routines. Existing knowledge contradicts Hubbard's theory of recording perceptions during periods of unconsciousness.
They're just not based enough.
I thought they accepted that people in comas knew what was going on around them.
I don't know. I had seen some literature in which it sort of stated that they weren't entirely sure what happens.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So basically, they said. So here's a comment for you. What Hubbard touts as a science of mind lacks one key element that is expected of science: empirical testing of claims. The key elements of Hubbard's so-called science doesn't seem testable, yet he repeatedly claims that he is asserting only scientific facts and data from many experiments. It isn't even clear what such data would look like. Most of his data is in the form of anecdotes and speculations. Such speculation is appropriate in fiction but not in science.
Anecdotal evidence, nice.
So basically,
that's the best kind of evidence.
Absolutely shit. so that's Dianetics.
Jim Cook said, "I think Hubbard was just a butthurt twat who thought he would get one over on the world by setting up his own bullshit religion to show how much of a Chad he was."
I don't think he was butthurt, to be honest. I think he was just a complete and utter fantasist. I don't think he was capable of being butthurt. I really don't. I think he was that narcissistic. He was like, but he wasn't narcissistic in the usual fucking the slightest thing gets to him way. He's just narcissistic it just doesn't. I don't think he can understand what an insult is. Do you know what I mean?
No. Yeah, I know what you mean. He was a weird one, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's just. I think he was in his own little world. He seemed like a bit of a nan kid, doesn't he? Especially when we go over his life on another episode. He just seems like a bit of a nan kid. That's all. All the stuff about his granddad owned a quarter of thingy.
Yeah, nan kid.
Oh, okay. So William S. Burroughs, the beat fag author, godfather of punk grunge, etc., used to put Hubbard under surveillance in the early days, forcing him to move locations a few times. Yeah, he's just he's a very, very strange guy.
Yeah.
You seen who's this? So, Carlin's got something. He says, the urban legend that is L. Ron Hubbard got in a lift with this guy and came out with the ideas for his new religion. So there's a guy called Richard Buckminster Fuller, was an American architect, systems theorist, author, designer, inventor, and futurist. He styled his name as R. Buckminster Fuller in his writings, publishing more than 30 books and coining or populating such terms as spaceship Earth. Oh, could well be. This stuff I'll go over on the L. Ron Hubbard episode. Yeah, Hubbard was also mixed up with Jack Parsons and Alexander Crowley. Is it Crowley?
Yeah.
I forgot his fucking full name. I'm blank.
Alistair
I'm fucking blanking on his first names. First names. Right. So we're going back to the Church of Scientology now.
No. Oh, no, not back there, please, no.
Go back to the Church of Scientology. So, the first Scientology church was incorporated in December 1953 in Camden, New Jersey. I don't know whether Camden, New Jersey was like fucking My Name is Earl back then, but I don't know. By L. Ron Hubbard and his wife Mary Sue Hubbard and John Galusha. By that time, the Hubbard Association of Scientologists International had already been operating since 1952. Hubbard himself had already been selling Scientology books and technologies. In 1953, he wrote to Helen O'Brien, who was managing the organisation, asking her to investigate the religion angle. In quotes. Soon after, despite O'Brien's misgivings and resignation, he announced the religious nature of Scientology in a bulletin to all Scientologists, stressing its relation of the concept of Dharma. Dharma? So what's Dharma?
No
Dharma
idea.
is a key concept with multiple meanings in Indian religion. This seems pretty heavily fucking Indian based. Was he like Brutus, who spent most of his 20s in fucking India?
Based in Indian pill.
Yeah, based in Pajit pilled.
Yeah.
Right, put the chat back up. Twitter, most of him. So Hubbard stated, "A civilization without insanity, without criminals, without war, where the able can prosper and honest beings can have rights, and where man is free to rise to greater heights, are the aims of Scientology." After the formation of the Church of Scientology, Hubbard composed its creed. The Scientology creed emphasises three key points: being free to enjoy religious expression, the idea that mental healing is inherently religious, and that healing of the physical body is the spiritual domain. Yeah, because there's that bullshit story, the one about where he was fleeing from some soldiers or something. He got shot in the back. And was it? What did he row 2,000 miles on a raft and healed himself? Didn't he?
Yeah, apparently so. It's just like, all right then.
So Hubbard had official control of the organisation until 1966, when this function was transferred to a group of executives. Although Hubbard maintained no formal relationship with Scientology's management, he remained firmly in control of the organisation and its affiliated organisations. In May 1986, subsequent to the sudden death of L. Ron Hubbard, David Miscavige, who at the time was the commanding officer of the Commodore's Messenger organisation, assumed the position of the chairman of the board of the Religious Technology Centre, a non-profit corporation that administers the trademark names, symbols of Dianetics and Scientology. Although RTC is a separate corporation from the Church of Scientology International, whose president and chief spokesperson is Heber Jench, Miscavige is the effective leader of the movement, because apparently Heber's gone missing. Heber is currently missing. He hasn't been seen for a very, very long time. But because apparently what it said, Hubbard, Heber Jench is one of there's some sort of inner circle of Hubbards, and Heber is one of them. And what L. Ron decreed was that Scientology would then go to this council, whatever they are, of people. And David Miscavige basically had a night of the long knives where everybody was locked up, fucked off, sent to the RTC, which is the punishment wing. All kinds of fucking dastardly shit. David Miscavige is a fucking bad man, isn't he?
Yeah, he looks like one as well, to be fair.
Yeah. He's Tom Cruise. Him and Tom Cruise are best mates, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, in 1996, the Church of Scientology implemented the Golden Age of Tech pertaining to the entire body of Scientology religious techniques, releasing a training program for Scientology orders, which precisely following Hubbard's teaching. Well, While precisely following Hubbard's teachings, it was followed by the launch of the Golden Age of Knowledge in 2005, where Hubbard's announcements of milestones in the research and development of Dianetics and Scientology were released. Between 2005 and 2010, the Church would complete its 25-year program to restore and verify the Church's scriptures. Restore and verify means they put them on... Aren't all of Hubbard's teachings now on metal plates? They're on steel plates now, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's someone else. Shelley Miscavige. She's someone else who's missing off license. Says.
Yeah. So Shelley Miscavige hasn't been seen in fucking ages.
Yeah.
Daily Mail article says Shelley Miscavige was dragged off by men after her abusive husband removed her from his office.
Because does he have a new wife now, doesn't he, I think?
I am not entirely sure. No one's seen it though, have they?
Like Shelley Miscavige is gone. I assume that being his wife, if she was to divorce him, she could get some she could get some serious fucking dough off him, couldn't she?
Yeah.
So the Church released the second phase of the Golden Age of Tech in November 2013, based on the original work of Hubbard. The Superpower Rundown, a new component of auditing, was released in Clearwater, Florida. So next section. So the beliefs of what do Scientologists believe? This is the fun stuff now. The Church of Scientology promotes and teaches Scientology, a body of beliefs and related practices created by L. Ron Hubbard, starting in 1952 as a successor to his earlier self-help system, Dianetics. Scientology teaches that people are immortal spiritual beings who have forgotten their true nature. Scientology's central mythology developed around the original notion of the Thetan. In Scientology, the Thetan is the individual expression of Theta, described by Neusner as the cosmic source and life force. The Thetan is the true human identity, rendering humans as pure spirit and godlike. The religion's mythology holds the belief that in the primordial past, Thetans applied their creative abilities to form the physical universe. Contrary to the biblical narrative that shows that the universe was created by a divine and sole creator, Scientology holds that the universe was created by a Theta in the form of individualized expressions. Sea Org, I don't think we'll even get onto the Sea Org in this episode. So, what was I going to say? I was going to say something, but it's fucking gone now. Yeah, so it's all pretty basic soul type stuff, isn't it? The story of Xenu.
Been seen since August 2007.
Yeah.
That's a long time to not be seen in public.
Yeah. So Xenu. So they mentioned Xenu next. Xenu is the shit that. Have you seen Going Clear Nordic?
I haven't watched all of it, but I've watched
that dude when he's I can't remember his fucking name. He's quite a funny guy. He goes, you know, if I'd have known this from the start, I'd have gone, what the fuck, and not got involved in it.
Yeah. How much money have I had to pay to find out about this?
Yeah. The story of Xenu is part of Scientologist teachings. So Xenu is also called Zemu, which was, according to Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard, the dictator of the Galactic Confederacy who brought billions of his people to Earth, known as the TGAC. Like in DC-8, like spacecraft, 75 million years ago, stacked them around volcanoes and killed them with hydrogen bombs. Official Scientology scriptures hold that the Thetans, the immortal spirits of these aliens, adhere to the humans, causing spiritual harm. The events known within Scientology as the Incident 2, well, that's not when I got drunk, is it? And the traumatic memories associated with them as the Wall of Fire or R6 implant. The narrative of Xenu is part of Scientology's teachings about extraterrestrial civilizations and alien interventions in earthly events. Collectively described as a space opera by Hubbard. Hubbard detailed the story in Operating Thetal Level 3 in 1967, warning that the R6 implant, past trauma, was calculated to kill by pneumonia, etc., anyone who attempts to solve it. Within the Church of Scientology, the Xenu Church story is part of the Church's secret advanced technology, considered a sacred and esoteric meaning. Chat's not very. Sea Org. Jim Cook says the Sea Org are based sea cadets. Sacred and esoteric teaching, which is normally only revealed to members who have completed a lengthy and expensive sequence of courses. I imagine expensive on that sequence of courses. Yeah. Costing large amounts of money. The Church avoids mention of Xenu in public statements and has gone to considerable effort to maintain the story's confidentiality, including legal action on the grounds of copyright and trade secrecy. The officials of the Church of Scientology widely deny or try to hide the Xenu story. Despite this, much material on Xenu is leaked to the public via court documents and copies of Hubbard's notes that have been distributed through the internet. In commentary on the impact of the Xenu text, academic scholars have discussed and analysed the writings by Hubbard and their place within Scientology within the context of science fiction, UFO religions, Gnosticism and creation myths. Do you want the full Xenu story? Because there's a whole Wikipedia page on Xenu.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I think I'll go back to what it was. So then you got Xenu. We might expand on that another time. So, according to the Encyclopedia of American Religions, Scientology is concerned with the isolation, description, handling and rehabilitation of the human spirit. One purpose of Scientology, as stated by the Church of Scientology, is to become certain of one's spiritual's existence and one's relationship to God or the Supreme Being. Because they've had to add a lot of religion stuff in there, haven't they? Since they bullied the IRS into becoming tax exempt, and they did bully the fucking the IRS, didn't they?
Yeah, bullied fuck out of them.
Thetan. I think we've done about Thetans and stuff. Yeah, because Hubbard died, didn't he? They didn't really want to admit he died, did they? But they had to. Yeah. And so they said he's out exploring the universe and he'll be back soon. Apparently some totally mad bastard turned up pretending to be L. Ron Hubbard, didn't he? And they fucked him off.
Yeah. Apparently their gold base has got a fucking sniper bunker.
Fuck.
Yeah, that does look like a sniper bunker as well, just tucked into the mountain a little bit.
Bastards. It's gold base where they keep people prisoner.
It's like their main headquarters. Known
Off License has got a good comment in the chat. You guys remember the John Sweeney interview? I'm not a Tommy boy, but it certainly follows the same interview model they used on Scientology that they used on Yaxley Leyland. Did he do the shouting at him and stuff then, did he as well?
I think so, yeah. But like it wasn't like John Sweeney had a tactic of being like that for Scientology. Like Scientology were sort of told to make Sweeney go completely insane, lose his mind, so that they could be like, well, you know, he's just a madman, you know.
Yeah, that's what they do. They drive people nuts. They follow people around and stuff like. They follow people around with cameras and shit like that. So when you've had enough and you take the camera off them, then it looks like you're the aggressor, don't they? They are absolute masters of fucking winding people up.
In the Sweeney one as well, you can actually see them following him around and driving behind him.
Oh, PA. I mean, if you guys want to live through hell, you want to have a look at some of the stories from the people that are now designated as SPs, which is a suppressive person, which is a person that's going to destroy Scientology.
Yeah, the people that have left.
Yeah. Did you? What was that fucking woman's name? I can't remember that woman's name, but Mike Rinder actually had one Scientologist pretend to be their friend, everything, and then just spilt her fucking guts, become some weirdo fucking stalker. Tried to split up him and his missus. They even tried to. I can't remember who it was. I don't think it was Mike Rinder, but one Scientologist actually, like, they'd made a plan to seduce some bloke's wife.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's fucking batshit stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, fucking John Sweeney just screaming in Tommy Davis' face.
You know why Gold Base has a sniper bunker on it, don't you? It's the headquarters of the Religious Technology Centre, which is David Miscavige's. That's where Miscavige is.
I see.
So the other thing they've got is the Free Winds. You've heard about the Free Winds, the cruise ship?
Yeah, I've heard about the cruise ship. That's what the Sea Org work on, isn't it?
That's also punishment as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's the hole, but I don't know where the hole is. The hole is the punishment place. That is the really, really shit place. But they have you scrubbing floors with toothbrushes and stuff, don't they?
Yeah, the holes at Gold Base.
Yeah.
The same one that has the snipers bunker and the technology centre. Yeah, it's all part of the. It's all part of the complex.
What else we got? The Sea Org. Yeah, let's talk about the Sea. Let's do a bit on the Sea Org. You know about the Sea Org, do you? Not.
Well, I just know they're a bunch of crazy people. Like they're swanning around in navy uniforms.
Well, not all of them are crazy, are they? Because, you know, some people get sold into, you know, the parents just fuck the kids off, and then the kids wind up joining the Sea Org and not being educated properly, don't they?
The parents sell their kids off to the Sea Org, and then in the Sea Org they sign their fucking billion-year contract.
Yeah. So the Sea organisation, also known as the Sea Org, is a Scientology organisation within the Church of Scientology. It describes as a fraternal order comprising the church's most dedicated members. Some might say insane. All Scientology management organisations are controlled exclusively by the members of the Sea Org. David Miscavige, the de facto leader of Scientology, is the highest ranking Sea Org officer, holding the rank of captain. Shouldn't he be admiral or something if he's the highest ranking?
You'd have thought so.
The Sea Org has been described as a paramilitary organisation and a private naval force, having operated several vessels in its past and displaying a maritime tradition. Some ex-members and scholars have described the Sea Org as a totalitarian organisation marked by intensive surveillance and a lack of freedom. The Sea Org has also been compared to a monastic organisation. I don't think anyone takes any choice to do that vow of celibacy, because Sea Org. Sea Org members used to have kids, didn't they? But now they've stopped them having kids, haven't they? They make them have abortions now, don't they?
Yeah. Well, it's because if you have children, then you might want to leave the Sea Org, and
well, I don't know. They just take the kids off you, raise them, and turn them against you, don't they?
Why is captain higher than commander in their ranking system? This ranking system doesn't make sense.
I don't know.
It's not
I wonder if it's something like it's because Elrond only got to the level of captain or something like that. Maybe, you never know, because a lot of this is like it's like one of those fucking science fiction movies where something's made up of somebody's psyche, isn't it? It's like that.
Do you reckon they give each other fake medals and everything?
Yeah. So the Sea Org was established on August 12th, 1967 by L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Dianetics and Scientology, initially on board 3 ships, the Diana, the Athena and the Apollo. I know Mike Rinder used to work on the Apollo because he's spoken to a couple of guys. He said, I remember you when he used to work on the Apollo with you. L. Ron Hoover and the Church of Appliantology. What? In a 1992 memorandum by the Church of Scientology International, the following information was provided to the Internal Revenue Service with regards to the nature of the Sea Org. The Sea Org does not have an ecclesiastical organising board or command channels chart or secular existence such as an incorporated or unincorporated organisation. Well, there is no such organisation as the Sea Organisation. The term Sea Org has a colloquial usage which implies that there is. There are general recruitment posters and literature for the Sea Org, which implies that the people will be employed by the Sea Org when in reality they will join, making the billion-year commitment at some church that is staffed by Sea Org members and become the employees of that church corporation. At that church corporation, the Sea Org exists as a spiritual commitment that is that is factually beyond the full understanding of the service or any other but trained and audited Scientologist. What the fuck does that bullshit mean?
Words.
Fucking hell. It's funny, the Apollo is the only one that has its own Wikipedia page.
Huh.
The Apollo is a former passenger ferry.
They just bought up any ship they could then.
Yeah. Well, basically, wasn't it because they were getting banned from country after country after country? That's why they had to go on a boat. I'm pretty sure it's something to do with some dodgy shit going on. Oh, fucking hell.
I should imagine so. Maybe a bit of drug smuggling.
Yeah. So, right. According to Hubbard, much of the galaxy, including Earth, known as TGAC, is that TGI Fridays, or was ruled was ruled tens of millions of years ago by the Galactic Confederacy. The Confederacy was controlled by Xenu, who eventually was overthrown by a group within the Galactic Confederacy known as the Loyal Officers. Religious scholar Hugh Urban writes that the Sea Org is modelled after these loyal officers. Urban also describes the Sea Org with the naval uniforms and ranks as an idealised recreations of Hubbard's own World War II military career. We are definitely going to have to get on with that because that is fucking hilarious. Jim Cook says, give them their due, Scientology probably has a better navy than we do at the moment.
Yeah, probably. He's probably not wrong.
With the naval uniforms and ranks, an idealised recreation of Hubbard's own World War II military career. He also states that the Sea Org is reminiscent of the Soldiers of Light in Hubbard's science fiction story collection, Old Doc Methuselah. Base. Okay. Old Doc Methuselah is a collection of science fiction short stories by American writer L. Ron Hubbard, published in 1970. I might have to have a read of that. Here we go. Academic Stephen A. Kent has argued that at least part of the reason for the establishment of the Sea Org was that the Church of Scientology's practices encountered resistance from the American Food and Drug Administration, as well as the Internal Revenue Service, as well as from the governments of the United Kingdom, Australia, and Rhodesia. Even Rhodesia were attacking fucking L. Ron Hubbard. Sailing on the high seas meant the church could escape their attention. Off License says those Sea Org posters look like something from Sequest DSV. Let's have a look. Sea Org poster. Give my voice a rest for a sec. Yeah, have you seen the Sea Org posters? Have you not?
No, let's have a little look.
Right, let's sort this out. a sec. Post and go. I'll probably get fucking copyright struck for this.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You having a look now?
Wow, this is something else. What the fuck?
Save the planet.
And they're trying to claim they're not paramilitary, yeah?
Someone's done a Photoshop with Tom Cruise in a Sea Org uniform.
We come back. You seen the bird holding the sword up to her head and everything? Like,
that one. Oh, based. I think that might be. It might be an effeminate geezer. I'm not sure. I can free beings. Join the Sea Org.
The Sea Org effectively clearing this planet at correct orders of magnitude. And there's a bunch of like Sea Org people in a row, and it sort of gets blurry as it goes back along the road.
Oh, join us on the business end of creating a new civilization. That one.
No, it's the Scientologist story. #81 bugs and spiders in the Sea Org. It's a picture, and they've got like planet Earth like behind them, and they've got space behind them and everything. It's such a fucking larp. Save image. There we go. Discord, Hemmingford, inbox.
Good old Lafayette Ronald Hubbard. What a shit. Oi, Crowley, we're a bummer, says Winston Smith.
There you go. I sent you the picture.
Oh, let's have a look at this. Oh, fuck, that's cringy, isn't it? Effectively clearing this planet at correct orders of magnitude.
The planet, like the way the planet's just like subtly behind them.
Oh yeah, that one. I'll put it up now. That's the one.
I love the internet.
The absolute laugh.
They wouldn't get away with starting it in this day and age.
Collett could learn a lot from Lafayette Ronald Hubbard, couldn't he?
Yeah.
What the fuck was I reading? Sea Org. That's it. Sea Org. So in 2000, the number of Sea Org members was listed around 7,000. As of 2009, the number listed by the church was around 5,000. Most Sea Org members reside in church complexes in Los Angeles, Clearwater. You would have thought they'd be encouraging them to breed, because when they breed, they grow up in Scientology, don't they? They're missing a fucking trick there, aren't they?
They are a bit, yeah.
So, what else we got? So, billion-year commitment. According to Hubbard, the Sea Org's mission is an exploration into both time and space. Sea Org members will act as goodwill representatives, administrators of Scientology. All policy and administrative posts in the church key organisations are held by Sea Org members. Most members are given room and board and a weekly allowance of about $75. From what I've heard, it's closer to $40.
Yeah. $75. All right, mate.
Yeah, okay, I believe you.
All right then.
IC3 Bumberclat says, I have the time if you have the space. You don't want to space there, do you?
No.
So it states Project Force is what you do when you join the Sea Org. So you join the Sea Org, you do basic training, which consists of the EPF. While on the EPF, recruits are assigned with an intensive daily regimen divided between 5 hours of manual labour and 5 hours of study and indoctrination known as Product Zero. Scientology courses that record to the EPF include I think it's a bit more than 5 hours and 5 hours of study, isn't it? Like eight in the morning till midnight usually, I think is what I've heard.
Yeah, cool, bad.
Yeah, South Park once again way ahead of their time covering Scientology.
Yeah. Do you remember when South Park used to hold a mirror up to society and go, look at you, look what you're doing to yourself?
Yeah. So Scientology courses that were required to complete the EPF. So you've got courses to do. So you've got to do the basic study manual, which is an introductory course in study technology, a simplified version of the student hack course. I don't know what the student hack course. There's so much fucking jargon in this, isn't there? Just so much.
Yeah. It's not like it's done on purpose or anything.
Yeah. Introduction to Scientology Ethics, a basic course in Scientology ethics. Which they don't have any.
They have no ethics. The end.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. Look, I'm looking at the meaning of Scientology. According to the Church of Scientology, ethics may be defined as the actions an individual takes on himself to ensure his continued survival across the dynamics. What the fuck does that even mean? Basic Sea Org member hat is a course on the basics of membership in the Sea Org and what is expected. Welcome to the Sea Org, a series of taped lectures originally given by L. Ron Hubbard in October 1969 to new recruits. Personal grooming course, a course on personal hygiene. Well, that's fair enough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like the RPF, the EPF does not have a definite schedule. A recruit graduates the EPF as soon as all the required courses have been completed and upon successful undergoing mandatory 7A security check. So that's what's called sec checking, isn't it? Which is like it's like an audit, but it's more aggressive, isn't it? Sec checks are.
Yeah.
They are then allowed to join the Sea Org as full members. Sea Org recruits verbally agree to an 18-point code or pledge as part of a swearing-in ceremony. Members formally reaffirm their acceptance of this code annually on August the 12th, the day when the organisation was founded.
Oh. So...
According to Hubbard, the Sea Org's mission is an exploration into both time and space. So that's £75. So in accordance with Scientology beliefs, the members are expected to return to the Sea Org when they are reborn. The Sea Org's motto is "We come back." Members must therefore sign a symbolic billion-year religious commitment, pledging to get ethics on this planet and the universe. The Church contends that this agreement is not a legally binding contract and merely a symbolic demonstration of the dedication members are expected to give to the organisation, and they are free to leave if they wish. Leaving if you wish, it doesn't quite work like that because you have to do a... Is A to E how you leave, or is A to E how you make amends? I can't remember. But there's a thing where you have to do a thing where they ask you to leave, where you say I want to leave, and then they just fucking sec check the shit out of you until you say, yeah, I don't actually want to leave now, don't they?
Yeah, or until you pay them enough money to leave you alone.
Yeah, which is never enough money to leave you alone. After signing, members report to the Estates Project Force, the Sea Org's induction programme. Melton writes that members may take several years between signing the commitment and attending the induction. Once induction is completed, the final decision to join is made. Members who leave the Sea Org are issued with a freeloaders bill, retroactively billing them for any auditing or training they've received. Although the bill is not legally enforceable, these Scientologists may not receive services at any Scientology organisation until they pay the bill and perform an ethics course. This all sounds quite nice, but it's not as fucking it doesn't even give you any clue as to how sinister the fucking they're bullying you all of the time. You're doing sec checks, you're doing this, you're doing that, and the thing is that you think that your eternal Hubbard's version of your eternal soul is at stake if you leave Scientology.
Yeah. That's kind of like most religions, isn't it? the sort of the thing that stops you from leaving is the fact that your soul could be damned forever.
Yeah. Basically, it's all it's standard cult stuff, but this is just scientific cult, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all about the money. The thing about religions and cults is, there are religions, Christianity, that try to work in the betterment of their community and the wider world, and then you got things like Scientology, where all they care about is how much fucking money they can get.
They can wring out of you.
Yeah.
I mean that's basically what auditing is, isn't it? That's why you get, because people were paying and they were going clear. Because one of the guys Leah Remini spoke to, he got up to, I think he went to clear. He may have gone a bit further, and he only paid like $6,000 for the whole thing. This is back when it was cheaper. It'll cost you something more like 400,000 now.
Yeah,
I think that's to OT8, but also there's other shit like you have required donations. You're forced to do stuff for free. That it's just never ending, the amount of money and time that you have to give to them.
Aren't you forced to sign over any property that you own to the church as well?
Not. I think that depends as to whether you're Sea Org or whether you're
the regular.
Yeah. Oh Jesus! Is Charlie doing memes?
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh, it's bad. It's bad. Yeah. Anyway, back to Scientology. Where were we? The amount of money it's just incredible. The amount of money that you're required to pay in and donate. Yeah. And you get phone calls constantly. That's it. I was explaining what the difference is, because Leah Remini is what's called a parishioner, which means she doesn't live on site and stuff like that. But you still fucking bullied, harassed the whole fucking time to be putting more money in, do more auditing, all this kind of stuff. Whereas Mike Rinder, who is another good guy to listen to, Mike Rinder was in the Sea Org.
Yeah.
Basically, the Sea Org do all the day-to-day running of the church. So they're the ones staffing buildings and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, from what it said on the internet, they're the management arm of Scientology. Yeah,
they're the management / just basically dog's body arm, aren't they?
Yeah. The LARPers.
The LARPers, the cringe LARP. The cringe LARPers. So what happens if you fuck up in Scientology? If you try to blow, which is what they call running, or just generally fuck up too hard too often, well, you can end up on the Rehabilitation Project Force. So the rehabilitation. What's that?
That sounds nice and friendly. Let's find out how sinister it is.
So the Rehabilitation Project Force, RPF, was created in January 1974 of a system of work camps set up by the Sea Org, intended to isolate and rehabilitate. Just listen to that. How sinister does that not sound? The Sea Org sounds like an organisation off a Roger Moore Bond movie. Yeah, these people wish they were in a Roger Moore Bond movie.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna tell me your plans?
Miss Moneypenny.
Miss Moneypenny.
Miss Topcat. Intended to isolate and rehabilitate members who have not lived up to the church's expectations, have failed sec checks, or have violated certain policies. Melton writes that RPF areas are located within Sea Org facilities and that there are no locks on the doors, but it's completely the opposite. These people are fucking jailed in. They have to live off scraps. So many Sea Org members have reported grueling treatment. According to Melton, there are 8 hours of physical work, but it's actually more than that. Upkeep around six days a week. The work may involve teaching the member a skill such as carpentry. Members also spend 5 hours a day studying with or studying with or auditing a partner. Former Scientologist John Atack argued in A Piece of Blue Sky that the treatment of Sea Org members in the RPF was a careful imitation of techniques long used by the military to obtain unquestioned obedience and immediate compliance to orders, or more simply to break men's spirits.
Does sound a lot like that.
Yeah. One former member, Jerry Armstrong, said that during his time in the Sea Org in the 70s, he spent over 2 years banished to the RPF as punishment. It was essentially a prison to which crew were considered non-producers, security risks, or just wanted to leave the Sea Org were assigned. Hubbard's RPF policies established the conditions. RPF members were segregated and not allowed to communicate to anyone else. They had their own spaces, were not allowed in the normal crew areas of ships. They ate after the normal crew had eaten, and only whatever was left over from the crew meal. Their berthing was the worst on board, a roach-infested, filthy, unventilated cargo hold. They wore black boiler suits even in the hottest weather. They were required to run everywhere. Discipline was harsh and bizarre, with running of laps of the ships assigned for the slightest infraction, like failing to address a senior with sir. Work was hard and the schedule rigid, with 7 hours sleep time from lights out to lights on, short meal breaks, no liberties and no free time. When woman ordered into the RPF took the assignment too lightly, Hubbard created the RPF's RPF and assigned her to it. An even more degrading experience, cut off from the RPF, kept under guard and forced to clean the ship's bilges and allowed even less sleep.
Grim.
Yeah, they were speaking to one of the women that did that. Because Mike was saying he was in the RPF many times. Mike Rinder was, and he said after you'd finished cleaning the bilges out, the only way to get clean was the first thing you had to do was have a bath in the ship's engine oil.
Oh,
because it was the only way to get the shit off your skin and out of your pores.
Grim.
Yeah, a thoroughly fucking horrible organisation.
Yeah, Damien said literally insane.
Yeah. It's insane, doesn't even fucking cover it.
Well,
let's see what the Scientology confer. So, yeah, fuck. I think we're going to have to do another episode on this because we haven't even got into fair game yet.
No.
Yeah, actually, while we're talking about the RPF, I want to talk about the death of Lisa McPherson because this is quite an important one. There's a main article, right then. So, Lisa McPherson, February 10th, 1959 to December the 5th, 1995. She was a member of Scientology. She was... Oh, she's not the one I'm thinking about, because there's another one I heard about where some woman committed suicide. She climbed into the like the fucking electrical sub thing and fried herself because she just had enough. She couldn't cope anymore. Yeah, fucking not for long.
Yeah, not for long.
Yeah, not for long. That's the only good thing about it.
That's done.
So Lisa McPherson died of a pulmonary embolism. So pulmonary is lung, isn't it? I think.
Pulmonary embolism. Isn't that an air bubble in the blood?
It's a blockage of an artery in the lungs by a substance that has moved from elsewhere in the body.
Okay.
So she was under the care of the church's flag service organisation. So the flag service organisation is
she was under that
spiritual headquarters in adults in Clearwater, Florida. The following report by a state medical examiner indicated that McPherson was a victim of negligent homicide. Scientology was indicted on 2 felony charges: abuse and or neglect of a disabled adult and practicing medicine without a license. The charges against Scientology were dropped after the state's medical examiner changed the cause of death from undetermined to accident on June 13th, 2000. I wonder why that was.
I knew you were going to say that the charges were dropped. So somehow I just knew.
Yeah, because that fucking medical examiner got his shit pushed in by Scientology.
Yeah, they pushed his fucking shit right in.
Yeah. I mean, these people push the fucking tax people. The tax office is fucking shit in. So, you know, a medical exam means fucking nothing to them.
Yeah, that ain't fucking.
In 1994, Lisa McPherson, who became a Scientology adherent at the age of 18, moved from Dallas, Texas to Clearwater, Florida with her employer AMC Publishing, which at that time was owned by Bonetta Slaughter. Fucking hell, that's a name, isn't it? And operating staff primarily by Scientologists. During June 1995, the Church of Scientology placed McPherson in an introspection rundown. Here we go, more fucking jargon. Introspection rundown is... So that's how you handle a psychotic episode or a complete mental breakdown.
Well, you just put them on their own.
Isolation, I think, yeah. Due to perceived mental instability. McPherson completed the process, then she attested to the state of clear in September. November 18th, 1995, McPherson was involved in a minor car accident. Paramedics initially left her alone because she was ambulatory, but after she began to remove her clothes, paramedics decided to take her to the hospital. McPherson remarked to the paramedics she had taken her clothes off in hopes of obtaining counselling. Hospital staff agreed that she was unharmed, but recommended keeping her overnight for observation. Following intervention by fellow Scientologists, McPherson refused psychiatric observation or admission at the hospital and checked herself out after a short evaluation. So Pinellas Pasco Circuit Judge Frank Casada concluded Lisa McPherson refused psychiatric observation or admission at the hospital. She expressly stated her desire to receive the religious care and assistance from her fellow congregants that she and they wanted her to have. So, but also you've got to remember that what they do. If she'd have tried to stay there, she'd have probably been fucking kidnapped anyway. As soon as she was outside, she'd have had PIs all up in her grill. That it had just been constant hassle for her and probably the hospital as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
The Squirrel Busters would have been on her case. So she was then taken to the Fort Harrison Hotel, which is also known as the Flag Land Base, where she was put to care under staffers belonging to church's flag service organisation. Because I don't think they have any trained medical people there, do they?
No.
It's just anybody does it. So she was brought to the Fort Harrison rest and relaxation. However, sworn statements demonstrate that she was brought there for another introspection rundown. Mark McGarry, an attorney with the Florida Office of the State Attorney, characterised McPherson's care under the FSO as an isolation watch. My understanding now is from talking to many, many witnesses, the purpose of her being there in the church, correct me if I'm wrong, she was experiencing some mental problems and you guys were going to stabilise her through an isolation watch. And after that watch occurred, there was going to be a procedure run on her, and the procedure was an introspection rundown. Scientology accommodated McPherson in a cabana and kept a 24 hours watch over her. What is a cabana? A cabana is... Okay, it's like those weird fucking hut things with the straw roofs.
Oh, okay.
Detailed logs were kept on her day-to-day care. These logs were handwritten on plain white paper. Most of these logs were kept, but the logs for the last 3 days were summarised from the originals, and the originals were shredded. Brian J. Anderson, the then commanding officer of the Church Office of Special Affairs, OSA, who Mike Rinder used to work for, said in his sworn statement, "I saw the handwritten notes, gave a cursory look to see if they matched, and I threw the handwritten reports in my shred basket and had the report, kept the report." So the care logs narrate the last 17 days of her life. She was incoherent and sometimes violent. Her nails were cut so she would not scratch herself or the staff, and she bruised her fists and feet while hitting the wall. McPherson was given natural supplements and the drug chloral hydrate to help her sleep. A church staffer noticed she looked like measles or chickenpox on her face on repeated occasions. McPherson refused food and protein shakes that the staff offered. On November the 26th and 30th, staff offered. On December the 26th and 30th and December 3rd to 4th, church staff attempted to force feed her, noticing she spat the food out. Ferguson was noted to be very weak, not standing up, or on some days not moving at all. Scientists who questioned this were handling were told to butt out. So she wanted to die, I think, didn't she?
Yeah, it sounds like she was in a catatonic self-destructive state.
Yeah. On December the 5th, church staff has contacted Dave Minkoff, a Scientologist medical doctor, who twice described McPherson Valium and chloral hydrate without examining her. They requested him to prescribe an antibiotic to McPherson because she seemed to have an infection. Minkoff refused, stating she would be taken to a hospital, stating that she should be taken to a hospital and that he needed to see her before prescribing anything. They objected, expressing fear McPherson would be put under psychiatric care. Dr. Janice Johnson, a senior medical officer at the Fort Harrison Hotel who was assigned to care for McPherson, stated she'd been gasping and had laboured breathing while en route. However, they passed a total of 4 hospitals along the way to their ultimate destination. Yeah, because they went to a hospital with a Scientologist doctor on there. Yeah. So they passed 4 doctors. When they arrived at Minkoff's hospital, 45 minutes north of Clearwater, McPherson exhibited no vital signs. Hospital staff attempted to resuscitate her for 20 minutes before declaring. Scientologists told McPherson's family to say that she died of meningitis or blood clot while at the Fort Harrison Hotel for rest and relaxation. A suspicious death investigation began the next day. An autopsy was performed. One year later, in response to a Clearwater Police Department website request for the information on her death, Clearwater media began speculating about the causes of McPherson's death. Regular pickets have taken place outside Scientology offices on or around the anniversary of her death in the years since.
Yeah, that's a dodgy one.
That's fucking well bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shit. So I don't know who's Wood. Oh, medical examiner Joan Wood. It says she appeared on Inside Edition and stated the autopsy showed McPherson's condition had deteriorated slowly, going without fluids for 5 to 10 days, was underweight, had cockroach bites, and was comatose from 24 to 48 hours before she died.
How the fuck did she get cockroach bites?
Well, cockroaches were fucking running all over her and biting her.
It must be in the isolation wherever they put her.
Yeah.
Nice. Lovely. Very dignified and...
Yeah, this is
sarcasm.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah. It's not a cult though, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah. But it's not a cult. I think it might. I don't know. It might finish off next week. Might do some more next week. I think.
Yeah.
I think we'll put a pin in there because I'm fucking knackered. So, night all. Stay spooky.
Night.